Mr. Rakesh Sharma, the ED at Bajaj Auto, joins us on the show right now. Rakesh, hi, good to be speaking with you, and best wishes for 2025. How's it looking? Is it going to be much better than 2024?
Good morning and a very happy new year to you. And thank you so much for having us. And I hope you and the channel have a great 2025.
But what about
Well,
yourself? Are you expecting 2025 to be materially different? Are there big launches lined up which you're expecting to do very well? Because of late, the sales of Chetak, etc., have also picked up quite substantially.
well, we are, of course, optimistic about 2025. There is nothing, no signal which is telling us that we need not be optimistic. And in preparation for that, of course, in preparation for that, we have a good lineup, etc., to attack 2025 with vigor. So, yes, we are looking forward to the year.
One is the overall picture, and then there is specifics in it. So I'll start with something where the change, in a sense, has been the most interesting one, which is the EV space. From a late starter to a powerful leader now, that's been the story for Bajaj Auto's electric business. What are the trends you see emerging in the two-wheeler EV space? Because that's where a lot of mind space, a lot of curiosity, a lot of headlines are moving. Who's number one? Who will remain number one? Who will become number two? How do you see that stack changing?
Well, to begin with, let me say that we were amongst the pioneers for in EV two-wheeler space. We launched the Chetak in January of 2020. So that was an early mover. But of course, the progression of Chetak was very calibrated and slower than some of the other competitors. But we were always very clear that, this is an evolving industry and it is offering us new opportunities in India, particularly because, we haven't participated in the scooter segment, the ICE scooter segment, and EVs were cannibalizing ICE scooters more than anything else. And subsequently, internationally also, it would give us entry into some new territories. But we calibrated our progression with trying to balance both the top line and the bottom line. So it was not as if we just had a singular objective, and it took us some time to put the supply chain together, and that not just impacted our availability, but which allowed us to then open up the network, but it also allowed us to put in products where we are now confident that the more we sell, the more money we make. Earlier it was absolutely the opposite. So the progression was like this. I think the EV two-wheeler industry is here to stay. Its penetration in scooters is between 20 and 25%, and it's growing at about 35%. And ICE scooters has also done well this year. And so we have to see this in that context, the penetration increasing in the context of ICE scooters itself doing very well. The concept of EV in two-wheelers is here to stay in the mind of the customer. Any customer now today buying a scooter certainly considers EV as an option, whether they buy it or not, depending on pricing, power or purchasing power or other anxieties. That's a separate question. But almost everyone is considering e-scooters as an option. So it is very much here to stay. There may be some limits which will come upon it, like charging opportunities and stuff like that. But at this point of time, we definitely see, it's been growing at 30-35%. So we see that that growth rate with a little bit of bumps up and down, when policy announcements are made. But I think we can expect the growth rates to be 25-30% in the coming quarters. And we are preparing for that type of an industry.
Right. So Rakesh, tell me what else gives you anxiety when it comes to your business? And I'm not talking about near term here. Let's talk 2 to 3 years hence. Other than, of course, the infrastructure and, the policy changes that you just talked about. What could it really imply and what could impact your business that makes you a little nervous?
Well, I must say that there is nothing as such which causes nervousness or anxiety. Some people, even in our company, let's say like dealers and other stakeholders, ask this question. And my answer is to them is that we're actually in a very, very good industry. Because you see, there is the penetration of two-wheelers, in particularly in India and some parts of emerging markets like Africa and Latin America, is still very low. In India, particularly, as the road network advances, which it is growing at a ferocious pace, as retail finance penetration improves, and the need for mobility is going to grow at an exponential rate. And therefore, both for two-wheelers and three-wheelers, the underlying drivers are very, very strong. However, there are extraneous factors, which, when you ask the question, which sort of is, par for the course now, because that's the way the world is. There is volatility. That is something like Red Sea happens, or, there are macroeconomic issues which disturb the market for a while. So it's be like a snake in the tunnel growth. So the broad trend line is towards higher penetration. The demand drivers are intact, but there will be interruptions caused due to either geopolitical issues or macroeconomic disturbances. And therefore, the company has to focus on a response to these kind of things, or being in a position to respond. And it's very difficult to anticipate these things. So the era of anticipation and planning has sort of moved to being prepared for these kind of disturbances coming, and see them early and respond to them. That's the kind of format. So if one is making that kind of a change in the managerial mindset, then anxiety and nervousness sort of reduces.
So let's start looking at the concerns of 2024. Will they accelerate? Will they multiply and become threats, or will they come down? This whole view which everyone has around the rural demand. Do you think in 2025 rural demand will come back? If it does, what does that mean for you?
Yeah. So, Nikunj, I think what is very important is for inflation to be contained. We have to understand that the two-wheeler purchase is a discretionary purchase at the end of the day. If the economic backdrop is good, then if I've got a two-wheeler for 3 years, I'll say, time to change. But if the economic backdrop is not good, the same customer says that I've had this two-wheeler for three years. I can stretch it to another year, 4 years. What is the point of changing now? So I would say that the economic backdrop is very, very important going into 2025. And right now, sort of, it's evenly balanced. The issue is about inflation. Particularly in the urban areas, we've seen that the rental inflation has been, for example, very high, which reduces the disposable surplus, which the average customer, our kind of average customer, who is earning 40 to 60,000 rupees per month, their disposable surplus gets impaired by these kind of. While we capture food and groceries, but we feel that rental inflation has also impacted this accumulation of disposable surplus. That factor has been slightly less prominent in the smaller towns and rural. I feel that in the last few months, particularly, we have seen that the big towns or metros or mini metros and deep rural have not done as well as the middle, which is the mid-sized towns and the small towns. This segment has been outperforming the other two. So I would say, as we get into the new year and there'll be a budget, etc., if our customers sort of get more money in their pocket, either from taxation coming down or things like that, or other schemes which benefit them, they will be in an optimistic mood, and that then translates into purchase for us.
Then the third pillar for you is exports, where rupee has been a strong tailwind. Nigeria, things are looking up now. In 2025, what is your sense? Because export in a sense has become a very large profit pool for Bajaj Auto.
Yeah. So it has been like that for about 6-7 years now. It's a very substantial part of our business. And yes, indeed, Africa is stabilizing, Nigeria is stabilizing, but we are still watching it carefully in the sense that when we are planning and when we are planning, for example, how much stocks the channel partners must have, we are very conscious that it's still a fragile situation because a lot depends on how the dollar behaves, because it has an immediate ripple effect, strong ripple effect onto these currencies, which then lead to inflation and protectionism and all that, which we have seen. But the Naira for the last 3-4 months has been moving in a very, very small band. So that's good. And slowly the African consumer has digested all the inflation. Things are still very tough for the ordinary people in many, many countries of Africa. And so they will sort of recover slowly. And that is the best that we can expect. So we are happy with that happening. The shining light, of course, region is LATAM. The LATAM region has become the single largest region for motorcycles. Much higher. It's now double that of Africa. If you also see that the average selling price in the LATAM region is twice that what we get in Africa, or 1.5 times, then you can understand that from a value terms, this region is now, the largest and 3 to 4 times that of Africa. We have very good preparedness over there. We are spread right across, and we have got number 1 or number 2 positions in most countries. And we have entered Brazil also. And the Brazilian business is doing very well. We have invested in our own plant over there. And within a few months of that, we are going to double the capacity next year. So if the region continues to perform very well, and Africa remains steady, Asia has also recovered, particularly Philippines and all, but Bangladesh, etc., are still sort of low. Then I think that we can look towards a growing export profile in 2025. And then, as you finally say, that this gentle devaluation of the rupee 4% odd is very helpful for the bottom line and sometimes for having effective pricing in the market.
Okay, Rakesh, so good having you, and here's hoping 2025 is as excellent as 2024 was for both you and your shareholders.
Thank you very much.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.